Let's talk about how the English Premier League works. It's the most watched sports league in the world, and since the new season just kicked off, it's a good time to break down the structure, where each season starts with 20 teams, but they aren't always the same as the year before. You see, football in England is like a giant pyramid. The Premier League sits at the top, and then there are layers of leagues underneath. The EFL Championship, League One, League Two, and several more national and regional tiers below that. At the end of each season, the bottom 3 teams in the Premier League are relegated down a level, replaced by 3 teams promoted from the Championship, and that happens at every layer down the pyramid. This chart here shows each of these levels on a timeline since the year 2000, and the colored lines represent a single club. At the top, you have a team like Arsenal in red, who have never been relegated in over a century. But then there are yo-yo clubs like Norwich City here in green, who have bounced between tiers more than 10 times since 2000, while Fulham here in black has done it 7 times. You can also see clubs on the rise, like Wrexham, owned by Ryan Reynolds, who climbed from 5th to the 2nd tier in just 3 years, or Luton Town, who made it all the way from the 5th tier to the Premier League in 2023, only to be relegated again in back-to-back seasons. These shifts up and down in leagues matter a lot for a team because they dramatically affect a club's finances. This chart shows the median team revenue by league, and mid-table Premier League clubs make around $200 million per year or more, largely due to media deals, and the top clubs can make upwards of $700 million a year. When you drop to a 2nd tier on this pyramid, that number plunges to a median of $30 or $40 million, mostly because of those media deals going away. Teams relegated down from the Premier League get what are called parachute payments to soften the blow, but revenue still drops sharply the lower you go, and for some clubs it could be financially devastating. One other interesting thing about the business of the Premier League is that there's currently no salary cap in place, so team owners can choose to spend as much or as little as they want on players. Let's compare that on this chart where there's a dot for every NBA and NFL team. Both leagues have lower and upper limits on payroll, which is why you see the dots tightly clustered together. Now let's add in a more similar league like the MLB, where there's no spending minimum or maximum, and these dots show that the spread gets much wider. You have teams like the Dodgers and Mets spending over $300 million a year on players, while the Marlins and the Athletics spend less than a quarter of that. That MLB model is the closest comparison to the Premier League. Here in blue, you see top clubs like Manchester City, Man United, and Arsenal all spending upwards of $200 million on players. Meanwhile, the teams at the bottom spend 80 to 90% less. Those teams down there are usually the ones who just came up from the Championship League, and they don't have the resources yet, so their goal is simply to survive long enough in the Premier League to establish themselves and grow. On the upper end, though, the big spending clubs are chasing trophies, qualifying for major tournaments, signing global stars, and cementing their status as institutions rather than just teams. You see, every club approaches the season with its own strategy and ambitions, which is what makes the Premier League so fascinating. We're only in match week 2 of a 38-week season, so it's a perfect time to pick a favorite team and follow along on their journey, and follow here for more sports data visualizations.